Hey there, fellow knowledge seekers. Ready for a deep dive?
Always. What are we diving into today?
Today we're time traveling back to ancient Babylon.
Ooh, Babylon. City of gold, right?
That's what they say. But we're not just here for the bling. We're digging deeper. We've got excerpts from the 100th anniversary edition of The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason.
Classic.
Plus, we've got some fascinating historical and archaeological stuff to add to the mix.
Oh, cool. Lay it on me. What's the mission?
To uncover the secrets of Babylonian wealth, see how it all fits into their culture, and who knows, maybe even discover some timeless wisdom.
Timeless wisdom, that's what we're all about.
You got it. So first things first, Babylon. More than just riches, right?
Oh, absolutely. They were resourceful, turned what seemed like a barren land into an economic powerhouse.
Okay, so they weren't just stumbling over gold mines. What was their secret?
It's fascinating. You see, they had fertile soil,
Okay, fertile soil. Makes sense.
but they also had incredible irrigation systems.
Not just ditches, right?
No. Complex engineering helped them maximize their agricultural output.
Clever.
That's the foundation of their wealth, ingenuity and understanding their environment.
That's a lesson we could all learn from today. Working with what we've got, right?
Absolutely. But it's not like they were starting from scratch. We're talking millennia of history.
Millennia. Yeah.
And they made incredible strides. They predate paper.
Really?
And even metal tools in other parts of the world, yet they had sophisticated financial systems.
Like what?
Money, promissory notes, titles, things we still use today.
It's incredible how advanced they were.
They were. Built massive walls for protection, complex canal systems for trade and agriculture. Innovators.
So, wealthy A&D-wise. But here's the question. If they had all this going for them, why did Babylon eventually fall?
Good question. And a bit of a cautionary tale. The sources point to internal weaknesses.
Well,
Seems their financial savvy wasn't always matched by responsible leadership or foresight. A reminder that even the most prosperous societies can be vulnerable.
sobering thought. But let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay, where are we going?
Let's talk about our cod.
Ah, yes. The richest man in Babylon.
Legendary for his financial wisdom. What's his story?
Humble beginnings. He wasn't born wealthy. He earned his fortune. Hard work, dedication, and a thirst for knowledge.
And that's what makes his 7 cures for a lean purse so interesting.
Right, exactly. Not just abstract principles. They're from real-life experience.
Okay, I'm ready to fatten my purse. Cure number 1.
Cure number 1, start thy purse to fattening.
Okay.
The cornerstone. Live below your means. Save at least 10% of what you earn.
10%. Sometimes that feels impossible.
I hear you. It's a challenge. But Arkad lived in a time without our conveniences and temptations. If he could make it work then.
You're right. We can find ways to adapt. Maybe cut expenses or boost our income.
Exactly. It's about finding what works. Okay, cure number 2.
Hit me with it.
Control thy expenditures. Budgeting. Prioritizing needs, resisting those impulse buys.
Impulse buys. My weakness.
Clason tells the story of the chariot maker.
Oh, yeah?
He really wanted a new chariot, but he couldn't afford it without sacrificing his savings. So he made a budget, tracked his expenses. Eventually, he reached his goal.
So it's about delayed gratification.
Exactly. Sometimes we need to wait for what we really want. It's more rewarding.
That's true. Okay, what's cure number 3?
Make thy gold multiply. Arkad was a big believer in putting your money to work.
Investments.
But here's the key. He emphasized seeking advice from experts and avoiding get-rich-quick schemes. He learned that the hard way.
Ooh, I bet that was a tough lesson.
It was, be cautious, do your research.
Good advice. Okay, what's next?
Cure number 4, guard thy treasures from loss. Protect your investments, be cautious. Avoid risky ventures.
So it's not just about making money.
It's about protecting what you've earned. Building a solid wall around your finances, you need to be prepared.
Makes sense. What's next on Arkad's list?
Own thy own home. Home ownership. It was a foundation for building wealth and security.
I can see why that would be important, especially back then, like a safe haven.
Exactly. What about cure number 6?
Lay it on me.
Ensure a future income. Plan for the future. Protect your family.
So important.
And get this, Arkad hints at a concept like modern-day life insurance. He understood that life is unpredictable.
Wow, that's incredible. He was ahead of his time. Okay, last cure.
Cure number 7. It's all about personal growth. Increase thy ability to earn.
Interesting.
Continuous learning, skill development, building confidence, those were essential for long-term success.
So it's not just about managing money. It's about managing our own growth.
Exactly. Investing in ourselves is just as important as investing our money.
I love that. But Arkad's wisdom doesn't stop there. He's also got those famous 5 laws of gold, right?
You got it, like bedrock principles. They reinforce the 7 cures, offer a comprehensive framework for achieving prosperity.
Okay, I'm ready for those laws.
Yeah.
Hit me with law number 1.
Law number 1. Gold comes gladly, and in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings.
Wait, does that sound familiar?
To create an estate for his future and that of his family, consistent saving is non-negotiable.
Saving is the foundation.
Got it.
What about law number 2?
Gold labors diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field.
Put it to work, got it.
Law number 3. Gold clings to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling.
Expert advice, check. Be cautious, check. Protect your investments, check. This is sounding very familiar.
It's timeless wisdom. Law number 4. Gold slips away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep.
Stay in your lane. Don't chase shiny objects. Got it. What about the final law?
Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment.
Be realistic. Be wary of get-rich-quick schemes. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment.
Exactly. The Babylonians were really onto something with these laws.
Absolutely. They understood that building wealth is a process. Patience, discipline, and a willingness to learn.
You got it.
You know, I've noticed that in The Richest Man in Babylon, Clason uses storytelling to bring these financial principles to life.
Oh, absolutely. He's a master storyteller.
It's not just a lecture on economics.
No. It's engaging. It's filled with relatable characters facing real-life challenges.
One of the most powerful stories is that of Sharonada.
Ah, yes.
Sharonada.
Teaching his nephew, Adangula, the value of work.
More than just earning money, it's about finding purpose and dignity in our efforts.
It really stuck with me. So tell me, what does Sharonada show his nephew? What are the turning points in his story? Well, first, they meet Megiddo, the hard-working farmer.
The one who sees work as his best friend.
Exactly. It sets the stage, showing that work can be a source of joy and fulfillment.
Work is a best friend. I love that. But Sharonada doesn't start out with that mindset, does he?
No, not at all. He despises work. He's young, wants to enjoy life, sees work as an obstacle to his pleasure.
Oh, I've got a feeling that's going to lead to trouble.
You guessed it. He ends up in slavery. Gambling debts. A classic cautionary tale about instant gratification and irresponsible behavior.
Oof, tough lesson. So how does he turn things around?
He's observing the lazy slaves on the walls of Babylon, and it hits him. Work isn't a punishment. It's a path to freedom.
Wow. It's a moment of self-discovery. He finally understands work can be a tool to create the life he wants.
Precisely. So what happens next?
I'm on the edge of my seat. What happens next?
He forms a partnership with a rug merchant, Arad Gula, who's also secretly a slave.
No way.
Striving for freedom, they work hard, save their money, and eventually buy their freedom.
Amazing. What a story.
It shows the power of collaboration, shared goals, a strong work ethic.
A beautiful story. But, you know, it's one thing to read about these principles.
You want to know more about what life was really like back then?
I do. What was it like to live in Babylon? What did they eat? What did their homes look like? What did they do for fun?
Okay, so imagine this. Babylon, a bustling metropolis,
Busy?
a melting pot of cultures, center of trade,
I can picture it.
vibrant marketplaces filled with exotic goods,
Oh.
the sounds of hammering and bartering, the aroma of spices, and freshly baked bread.
Makes you want to hop in a time machine. What about their homes? Were they all those luxurious palaces we see in movies?
Well, the kings and wealthy merchants, yes, they lived in opulent residences, but
The average Babylonian.
more modest dwellings. Most lived in houses made of mud brick,
Makes sense.
often built around a central courtyard,
Courtyard.
providing shade from the sun and a place to socialize.
Like a community hub. I like it. But what did they eat? Lavish feasts every night.
Not every night, but their diet was pretty diverse.
What?
They cultivated barley, wheat, dates, figs,
Sounds healthy.
raised sheep, goats, and cattle for meat and dairy, and fish from the Euphrates River.
Balanced. But surely they didn't spend all their time working and saving money.
Of course not. They were human, just like us. They enjoyed music, dancing, storytelling, and games.
Oh, games. What kind of games?
They were fond of board games, and they had their own version of dice.
Dice. That reminds me. Didn't Sharunata get into trouble with gambling debts?
Yes, gambling was a popular pastime, but as Sharunata learned, it could be a dangerous vice.
It's a good reminder. Even in a society that emphasized financial responsibility, people still made mistakes.
Speaking of mistakes, I'm curious about the challenges the Babylonians faced. Every civilization has setbacks, right?
Absolutely. No civilization is perfect. And the Babylonians were no exception. They faced wars, famines, political turmoil,
It sounds intense.
even internal conflicts.
So despite their wisdom and ingenuity, they weren't immune to the ups and downs of history. They weren't. It's a reminder that even the most powerful civilizations are vulnerable.
What a fascinating look into the world of the Babylonians.
It is, isn't it?
Their story is full of valuable lessons.
It's timeless wisdom.
It makes you wonder what else we can learn from them.
Let's keep digging.
Welcome back, fellow time travelers. We've been exploring ancient Babylon.
Their financial wisdom, their everyday lives.
But now, the big question. What can we, in the 21st century, learn from folks who lived thousands of years ago?
That's where it gets really interesting. While the specifics of our lives are vastly different, the underlying principles, human behavior around money, those haven't changed all that much.
So, even though they didn't have smartphones or the stock market, their approach to finance is still relevant.
Precisely. Take the story of the king and his chancellor.
Oh yeah, the king was puzzled, wasn't he?
He was invested in all these grand projects, but the people were struggling. Where did the gold go?
A classic economic mystery. And it feels familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, very familiar. The chancellor points out that the gold has concentrated in the hands of a few, those who understood wealth accumulation.
Sounds like the wealth gap issue we still have today.
Exactly. But here's the fascinating part. The king doesn't just shrug. He wants solutions.
What does he do?
He summons Arkad, our OG financial guru, and tasks him with teaching financial literacy to the masses.
Wow. It's like a royal decree for economic empowerment.
It is. Everyone deserves a chance to prosper, not just the elite.
So what does Arkad teach them? Those 7 cures again?
He does, emphasizing those timeless principles, starting with consistent saving, budgeting wisely, investing prudently.
Those themes keep popping up.
They do. It's woven into their culture, this idea of slow and steady progress towards prosperity.
It's about the long game.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technical stuff, it's about mindset. Arkad encourages them to believe in themselves, develop their skills, constantly strive for improvement.
So a holistic approach. Financial savvy, R&D, personal growth.
You got it.
What about the 5 laws of gold? How do they fit into this bigger picture?
5 laws. They're like the guiding principles, the commandments of wealth building, encapsulating Arkad's teachings and offering a framework for everyday life.
Okay, remind me, what was that first law again?
Law number 1. Gold comes gladly and in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family.
10%. Got it. What about law number 2?
Gold labors diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field.
So make that money work.
Yeah.
Invest it, start a business. High yield savings account.
You got it. Don't let it sit idle. Law number 3. Gold clings to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling.
Expert advice, research, no shady schemes. It's like they knew about market volatility and scams.
Timeless wisdom. Okay, law number 4. Gold slips away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep.
Stay in your lane. Got it. What's the last one?
Law number 5, a cautionary one. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment.
No get-rich-quick schemes, no emotional decisions based on greed or fear. They were dealing with the same human weaknesses we face today.
They were, and that's what makes their wisdom so powerful. They understood that financial success isn't just about numbers, it's about mastering our own psychology, making sound choices, building a solid foundation.
Now, we've talked a lot about Arkad, but were these ideas widespread? Or was it just him preaching this stuff?
Good question. Remember Calibab, the former slave?
The one who shared the 5 laws of gold as they approached Babylon.
That's the one. He embodies this idea that anyone can achieve wealth. through hard work and wise choices, no matter their background.
It's inspiring. A cultural legacy of financial literacy.
Absolutely. It wasn't just for the wealthy elite.
Okay, but what about those who didn't follow these principles? Who messed up? Any cautionary tales about financial ruin?
Oh, yeah. Remember the story of the ox and the ass?
Refresh my memory.
The ox is hardworking and responsible. The ass, lazy, always borrowing.
And the ox ends up carrying both their burdens.
Exactly. A reminder that generosity is important, but protect your own financial well-being too. And then there's Mathathon, the gold lender.
Okay.
He shows Rodon his token box, filled with reminders of loans gone bad.
It's a powerful image. The consequences of poor decisions.
It is. Due diligence, risk assessment, learning from others' mistakes. They understood wealth can be lost through carelessness or misplaced trust.
Not all sunshine and golden chariots.
Right. They were realistic about the risks. Financial management isn't always easy.
So another lesson. It's not about perfection. It's about learning, adapting, and making the best choices we can.
You got it.
They were really good at using storytelling to teach these lessons.
Oh, absolutely. Masters of storytelling.
It's not just about abstract ideas. They humanize them, make them relatable, memorable.
Exactly. They show the human side of money, the emotions, the temptations, the triumphs, and the disasters.
It's like they're saying, we've been there, we've made those mistakes, here's what we've learned, and here's how you can avoid the pitfalls.
Exactly. They understood that financial success isn't just about numbers. It's about mastering our own psychology, making wise choices, building a solid foundation.
So we've got these timeless principles, these engaging stories, and a cultural emphasis on financial literacy. But I have to ask, we've talked about fertile soil and ingenuity, but how did they actually generate wealth? What were their industries? What did they trade? How did their economy work?
Great question. And the sources offer some fascinating answers. Babylon wasn't just golden palaces. It was a bustling center of commerce and trade.
So they weren't just hoarding wealth. They were active participants in the economy.
Absolutely. And their industries were surprisingly diverse.
Like what?
Well, they had agriculture, of course, thanks to those irrigation systems. But they were also skilled artisans, producing textiles, pottery, jewelry.
So agriculture and craftsmanship. What about trade? Who were their trading partners? What were their hot commodities?
Their location made them a natural hub, connecting them to regions as far as India and Egypt.
Wow, no kidding.
They traded grain, dates, textiles, even manufactured goods like weapons and chariots.
Major players in the ancient world's economy. Fascinating. But what about the workers? We know there was slavery, but what about free laborers?
We get glimpses into their lives, though not as much as we might like.
It's always like that with history, isn't it?
It is. There were skilled artisans, scribes, merchants, day laborers, all playing vital roles.
A complex society. What about the role of women? Were they involved in business or trade?
Unfortunately, the sources are limited on that.
Too bad.
We know they were involved in domestic life, raising children, managing households, but their economic roles are less clear.
Always more to learn. Well, we've covered a lot. Their financial wisdom, their daily lives, even their economic systems. But one question remains. What led to the fall of this once great civilization?
The million-dollar question. And there's no simple answer. Historians debate the various factors, likely a combination of internal and external forces.
A complex web of causes.
Exactly. Some historians point to environmental factors, changing river patterns, increasing salinization of the soil.
Makes sense. Disrupt the agriculture and it ripples through the whole society.
Right. Others argue that internal political struggles, corruption, weakening leadership played a role. And of course, there's the constant threat of invasion. Neighboring empires wanted Babylon's wealth and resources.
Environmental challenges, internal weaknesses, external pressures, even the most powerful civilizations are vulnerable.
A sobering thought, especially as we consider our own world today, facing its own set of challenges and uncertainties.
You've mentioned that the Babylonians' wisdom can offer us valuable lessons. But can you give us specific examples? How do these principles apply to modern-day challenges?
Of course. Let's explore that in the final part of our deep dive. We'll look at how their principles of financial responsibility, long-term thinking, and personal growth can be applied to challenges like student loan debt, investing in a volatile market, and even finding purpose in our work.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Can't wait to hear more. Welcome back to our Babylonian adventure. We've uncovered their financial wisdom, explored their lives, but how can we apply these ancient ideas to our modern challenges.
It's amazing how relevant these principles still are.
Let's connect those ancient dots to our lives. Where do we start?
Let's start with that classic principle, saving 10%.
Sounds simple, but for many it's a huge challenge, especially with things like student loan debt.
Right, like those Babylonian gambling debts. But it's not about finding an extra 10% out of nowhere. It's a mindset shift.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember Arcad's emphasis on controlling expenditures, making conscious choices, prioritizing needs over wants.
Be intentional with spending. Cut back on those lattes. Find a cheaper apartment.
Exactly. Explore refinancing options for loans. Create a repayment plan.
Like building a financial wall, brick by brick.
That's it. Be disciplined. Be strategic. Keep your long-term goals in sight.
Makes sense. What about investing? The Babylonians made their gold multiply. But today it feels like a risky jungle out there.
It can feel that way. Volatile markets, complex investments, those get-rich-quick schemes. But even in this jungle, Babylonian principles can guide us.
Okay, remind me.
Seek advice from experts. Avoid unfamiliar ventures. Do your research. Find a financial advisor you trust.
Don't jump into things just because everyone else is.
Exactly. And remember their warning about impossible returns? That applies to those schemes promising overnight riches.
If it sounds too good to be true.
It probably is.
But beyond saving and investing, there's a deeper lesson.
Right.
Cultivating a mindset of responsibility.
Yeah.
Taking ownership of our financial well-being.
Absolutely. The Babylonians understood that wealth building wasn't about luck or inheritance. It was about conscious choices, good habits, and consistent action.
You're in control of your financial future.
You are. And that brings us to another key point, personal growth, continuous learning.
I like where this is going.
Remember the scribe who learned new skills to earn more? That's timeless.
Invest in yourself. Improve your skills. Become more valuable.
Precisely. And it's not just about money, it's about purpose and fulfillment in your work.
Like Sharonada's journey, aligning passions with skills, contributing to the world, building a fulfilling life, not just a fat bank account.
Beautifully said. That's the heart of Babylonian wisdom. It's not just about getting rich, it's about purpose, security, and fulfillment. Enjoying the fruits of your labor, leaving a positive legacy.
Wow. We've journeyed back in time, uncovered ancient secrets, and come away with so much.
It's been quite the deep dive.
Inspired, I'd say. We've taken those ancient Babylonian bricks and built a modern temple of prosperity.
A temple grounded in wisdom, fueled by hard work, and maybe even adorned with a touch of Babylonian bling.
Exactly. So, as we navigate our modern lives, let's remember the Babylonians.
Their timeless principles, their stories.
They've shown us the way.
The journey continues. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep building your own path to prosperity.
And remember those words from Arcad. Where the determination is, the way can be found.
Wise words.
Until next time, fellow knowledge seekers, keep diving deep.